it's Sarah here from BJC Health, coming to you from Sydney, Australia. Thanks for showing an interest in one of our educational events. You're about to watch part one, so enjoy the event. If you've got any questions about the content, then please consider joining BJC Connect, where you can access all of our facilitators live. Otherwise, please consider leaving a comment and we'll do our best to get back to you.
Hello everyone, I'm looking forward to sharing some of my knowledge and a few things that hopefully can help with the conditions that you guys are experiencing. So I'll just share my screen and we'll be talking about a few things that can hopefully help gain a better understanding of the link between physical health conditions, chronic health conditions, and mental health. I'm sure many of you are aware of the link between mental health and physical health. And mental health, as some of you might know, there's been a lot of taboo, there's been a lot of stigma with mental health and what it actually means. And it's probably been only the last 5 or 10 years that there's been a lot more awareness as to what it actually is, and a lot more, opportunities for people to reach out and be aware of things that are actually impacting their mental well-being. Previously, mental health was seen as maybe something that was wrong with you, or that you've got an illness, or that you're sick. And society usually would see mental health as something that's a failure, or something that we didn't want to know about. Which really affected people's self-esteem and how they connected to other people and society. So over time, we're definitely getting better, and there's a lot more awareness and a lot more, access to help with that. So when we look at, physical health, and I am not a doctor, I'm not an expert in, medical or physical health conditions, but I do know that it can have a large impact on how we feel about ourselves as a whole. So when we look at a medical or physical health condition, it's really important that we look at it holistically and really have a think about how it's actually making us feel. So that's something to keep in mind throughout your recovery, throughout your journey with a chronic condition, is really considering things holistically. Okay, so I really just want to acknowledge that having a chronic condition is actually really, really hard. It's hard work. It requires so much resilience, so much perseverance and discipline and patience. And I think people that have a chronic condition, sometimes they're not always going to be the loud ones or the ones that are obvious. There are a lot of invisible illnesses and conditions. And a lot of people don't understand or recognize that there's actually a lot of barriers that people face with these conditions. So external barriers, so what that means is just simply barriers that are external to us. So things related to other people or just circumstances that we're in. Common ones are things like people not believing you or feeling misunderstood. So sometimes people can feel like, oh, they're just exaggerating, or it's not as bad as what they say it is. Or maybe people don't have good education or awareness as to what you're actually experiencing. So they might minimize it, or they might not really pay attention to it. And that can then make us feel, misunderstood or unheard, or that they don't really actually get what I'm going through. Other barriers including just the time that we spend attending appointments, focusing on recovery, focusing on all the treatment planning and the things that we need to do. And it can add up for a lot of people throughout the week, throughout the day. If you're still working, you know, it's sometimes really hard to, you know, consider that into your week as well, with attending appointments. The costs as well. So attending specialist appointments, doctor's appointments, follow-up tests, all those things add up. And that in itself can actually be quite stressful and can be a burden on a lot of things in our life. Can be quite confusing as well. Also, the process of getting diagnosed. So kind of similar to that feeling of being misunderstood and not being believed. Some people, it can take quite a long time to get an accurate diagnosis, and to feel like they actually have a proper diagnosis. Waiting times as well for appointments, specialist appointments, and then having to experience further stress, further pain while waiting as well. And then the big one is just overall limitations to our functioning. So work, movement and exercise, our diet, and just overall our levels of activity that we're engaged in can be quite limited. So things like socializing or just going out, events, or that group that you've signed up for the gym, or things like that. And then internal barriers. So these are the barriers that we face within ourselves, that we feel because of this condition. So common ones include stress, fatigue, exhaustion, depressed mood, low motivation, confusion, and pain as well. A lot of these internal barriers use up a lot of energy in the body, which is why, depressed mood and low motivation is very common for people with chronic health conditions or even chronic pain. And, I've had people even describe to me that they just feel constantly exhausted. They have no energy, and they want to do things. They want to have energy, but experiencing these things drains the body. So that in itself is a big barrier. The chat box is open, and I'll be able to hear if there are any other barriers that you guys experience that I haven't mentioned as well. Anything you want to add to that, Sarah?
No, I think, again, just repeat what you said, and feel free to pop your comments into the chat, and people have already started doing that, Adrian, so that's good, but you can keep going.
So how does this then impact the way we see ourselves? So when we have a chronic condition, it can start to then impact our self-identity, and it can feel like we're spending a lot of time and energy and thinking on this illness or condition. So what can happen is that we start to internalize it. So what that means is that we start to make it about us. We start to see it as something about us as a person. So common thoughts that we have are things like, oh, no one will help me, just no one gets it, I hate this. Why do I have to go through this? I wish I didn't have it. I give up. I can't stand this. No one will like me because of this. Things like that. It can then lead to things like just feeling overall invalidated. And humans like to have their emotions and experiences validated, because then it makes us feel connected, and it makes us feel like people know that what we're experiencing is real. So when we feel invalidated, it can make us feel quite isolated, and that we don't feel like people are connecting with us and really believe us. Sometimes then that leads to people feeling like they have to prove themselves, or they have to try even harder to, convince the doctor or convince the health professional what they're experiencing, or convincing their family or friends or partner that, what I'm going through, this is what it's actually like. Common one as well is sense of hopelessness. So when people experience chronic conditions, it really impacts how they see their future, and their belief in their future and how they'll be able to cope with the future. So when you're experiencing distress or pain, or fatigue, we start to sometimes lose a bit of hope that this can get better, or that I'll be able to recover from this. And we start to then doubt ourselves and whether we can actually do things differently. And that's very common for people who feel low or depressed as well. Avoidance and self-sabotage and surrendering. So these sort of things include things like kind of giving into it, or just thinking, oh, well, I can't do anything about it, so I'll just have to, surrender to it and sabotage my progress or my recovery. They don't have the belief in themselves that they'll be able to get through it or cope with it. So this might include things like just doing nothing about it. So, if they had appointments or if they had a plan in place, they just avoid doing it. Or if they had something planned and they, that day with someone, and they think, oh, well, I'm just not going to go anymore. It could also include increasing like alcohol use, or increasing medication, or other substances as well. Blaming is a common one too. So either blaming ourselves or blaming others. So when we are experiencing a condition that's chronic, it can feel like it's never ending, and we feel like we just want to find someone or something to tell us the answer. And if there's no answer, then we want to sometimes then just naturally, we then shift blame to whoever we can. And we all do this. I think it's normal that when we are facing a problem or a difficulty that we feel like we're stuck in, or that we're really confused about, or just generally quite painful, humans like to find someone or something to feel like then it's responsible for it, because that then makes us feel better. It makes us feel like then there's something that we can then do with it. Or it can also just be another way of avoiding it too. The next one, so that quote, the guy with the bad back. So this was actually a quote that one of my old clients brought up with me. He had a chronic health condition and experienced a lot of back pain quite often. And it was really affecting his mental health. And he said to me that he went to his GP, and he said, my GP said something to me that really resonated with me about how I perceive this condition. And his GP said to him, we can, keep with the medication, and we've got a good plan happening, but try not to be the person or that guy with the bad back. And my client was like, oh, what does that mean? And what it means is that sometimes when we have a chronic condition, it can feel like that's all we can think about, or that's all we can share with people. So you go to a party, you go to an event, and someone says, how are you going? And you're like, oh, my back's playing up. And then you say to someone else, how are you going? Oh, yeah, got a sore back. Oh, it's playing up again. And then you might get a phone call from a family member. How are you going? Oh, it's just my back again playing up. And what it can then feel like is that you've just now become your bad back, and you're now known as that person with the bad back. So we really want to try to, I guess, be aware of that and how much we feel like it's consuming us and our thoughts and our identity. And then also it then starts to then perceive the condition as a personal weakness, or something that's wrong with us that we were kind of mentioning before. So overall, a lot of these things can then lead to a decline in our mental health. And this doesn't happen all the time, and this doesn't happen with everyone. But I guess it's things to be aware of if you're noticing, a flare up, or you're just having a really bad day or a bad week, and noticing if these things are coming up for you. Okay, so what we can start to then do, I guess, is changing or shifting our mindset to how we perceive our chronic condition, how we interpret it. And a way we can do that is using self-compassion. So self-compassion is this concept that looks at treating ourselves as a human being with respect and care, as a living creature, essentially. And whilst that might seem quite simplistic or straightforward, when we reflect on how we treat ourselves and how we talk to ourselves, it's human nature to think more critically and negatively about ourselves. And we tend to treat ourselves then a lot more harsh than other people, or how we treat other people. So self-compassion is allowing ourselves to have our needs met. It's about nurturing ourselves. It's about looking after ourselves and treating ourselves with the same respect that we would towards others. So if someone else had a chronic condition or had chronic pain, how would we talk to them? What would we advise them? If we were next to them, what would we like to do that could be helpful for them? And how do we do those things towards ourselves? So again, one of those things include recognizing the other parts of you that maybe aren't related to the condition that you have. Utilizing your strengths, looking at your capacity and what you still can do, looking at the things that you have in your life that can maybe help you nurture and feel good about yourself. So I guess that picture on that slide kind of summarizes what it means, and it's similar to looking after a plant, that if we want to recover and if we want to grow and flourish and thrive in our life, we got to look after ourselves, and we got to be mindful of those things that our body needs. Okay, so part of self-acceptance, part of self-compassion is this concept around acceptance. Acceptance, it isn't always easy. And sometimes when we hear the word acceptance, we don't like it, or it can make us feel like we're just kind of not doing anything about it. What we want to look at is, again, changing our mindset and really looking at the difference between what's in my control and what's out of my control. And the things in your control, those are the things that you can change. Those are the things that you can do something with. Acceptance is looking at what's out of our control and how do we accept that. And so it relates to this sort of picture in the slide around, pulling the rope as if we're in a bit of a tug of war with ourselves in a way. And we're pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and it's causing us actually a lot of pain and anger and exhaustion. And the more we try to pull it, the more pain it causes. And it's this idea that if we allow ourselves to let go of the rope, then it allows us to then have more freedom and capacity to then do something else. And that's what acceptance is looking at. So it's a bit of acceptance can feel a bit abstract, but I think hopefully as we go along, it starts to make a bit more sense, and you can have more concrete ways of practicing it. So acceptance is shifting our mindset from the fix-it mentality. So in society in general, we are constantly being bombarded, being told how to fix things and change things. if we want to solve something or fix something, we just Google it and an answer will come up. I constantly do that with things in my apartment. How to fix a microwave button, or the fridge is not at the right temperature. How do I fix this? Same thing goes with our physical health. And when we experience pain, we automatically think that I got to fix this. I got to get rid of it. I got to change it. When we go to the doctor, we usually go with the mindset that, okay, the doctor's going to fix it for me. He'll give me something, or he'll follow up with something for me to fix it. So we're constantly in this sort of fix-it mindset or solving mindset. And I guess these days as well, it's there's a lot of convenient ways to do that now. Things are a lot more accessible than they were. Things are a lot more available to us when we need to fix something. So we can get in the habit of just convincing ourselves that, oh, if I've got a problem, I'll just fix it straight away, and then I'll be able to move on and do nothing about it after. So acceptance is being able to challenge that mindset a bit and actually shifting it and going, okay, hang on a sec, maybe this isn't something I need to fix right now, or maybe this is something that I actually can't fix. I actually don't have the capacity to fix it. It's not in my control. So acceptance is acknowledging that some things cannot be fixed, acknowledging that things cannot be changed. A big part of acceptance is awareness of reality. So acceptance of the moment that you're in, the present moment, and what's around you, and acceptance of that, and not getting emotionally attached to that pain or that distress that you're in. It's pulling yourself out of that and looking at the bigger picture in a way, looking at your reality from a bird's eye point of view and going, okay, where am I at right now? What's actually going on for me? Acceptance is about tolerance. And again, this concept of tolerance might feel a bit foreign or feel a bit uneasy about it. Sorry, my dog is doing the zoomies in the background, and yeah, so quite loud. So you see a little black thing run around behind me, that's him. So I've got to work on tolerance right now and just keep going. So tolerance is about sitting with the feeling, sitting with the distress without trying to fix it or change it, sitting with the discomfort. And again, humans don't like to sit with discomfort because it's uncomfortable, and no one likes to feel uncomfortable. But discomfort actually helps us process and regulate our feelings. And it doesn't actually cause further harm. So it's something that can initially be really uncomfortable, but can help us practice more acceptance. Processing the present moment, like we've mentioned, so really taking in what's around us, which is then related to also separating ourselves from our condition, and really thinking about, okay, what parts of me maybe are not in pain? What else is around me that's happening right now? Trying to distract yourself from that pain too. And then acceptance is self-empowering. So when we rely on others or other things to fix our problem, it takes away our power to cope with it. So when we sit with discomfort, when we tolerate discomfort, when we accept discomfort or pain, it actually helps with our confidence and our belief in ourselves that I actually can get through this. And that in itself is really important for our mental health and our belief in ourselves to cope with our problems. So that's something to be mindful of too, is that we can go for the quick fixes, we can go for the easy solutions, but when we're practicing acceptance, it can actually in the long term be quite self-empowering. And then acceptance is not surrendering or giving in, kind of like what we were mentioning before. It's not just throwing our hands up and going, oh, well, that's it then, I can't do anything about it, poor me. There's a difference between acceptance and surrendering. Surrendering is not allowing ourselves the chance to do something about it, or letting ourselves experience the feeling. Acceptance is more around allowing ourselves to sit with it, and then do something with it and being proactive about it. We don't have to like it to accept it. So a lot of the things that we have to accept in life, we're not going to like. It could be things in the media, politics, people on the road, slow drivers, all these things that happen in our day-to-day life. We have to always just accept, but doesn't mean we like it or agree with it. So for example, if you have a flare up, or there might be a day where, you're just really struggling, and you might be like, oh, why is this happening? I've done all the right things. Why am I feeling like this? This shouldn't be happening. But I still got to accept it. So I don't have to like it, agree with it, or beat myself up about it. But I just got to accept it. Acceptance is not letting ourselves suffer. And it's not ignoring the problem either. So it's not about avoiding it, like we were mentioning before. Sarah, was there anything you wanted to add, or any chance?
No, I think it's good. Just I think you should keep going, and then once you get to the end, then we can open up for questions. But
okay.
Yeah. How's Rupert going, by the way? Just is he conked out?
He's conked out. He's now
okay.
lying down.
Just thought I'd give you a break in case he was like eating a chair or something, but he's okay. Everyone's okay.
Just next to me, yeah. He's stopped.
Okay, that's good. All right, keep going.
So how we practice acceptance. So the first line is what happens when we don't practice acceptance. So what happens is that we try to fix it, we try to fight it. As a result, we're not really facing the reality of it. We're avoiding it. As a result of that, not much actually changes. There's little to no change. As a result of that increases our overall suffering. And then the second line, this is what we want to start to try with acceptance. So first off, it's just simply acknowledging what we're feeling, and labeling it, or describing it. That then allows us to help us accept reality for what it is. As a result, we can then tolerate and manage the feeling. And overall, that then helps us decrease our suffering. So acceptance isn't about getting rid of the suffering or getting rid of the pain or the condition. It's helping us manage it in a more healthy and helpful way. So that's where, again, it's shifting our mindset, it's shifting our language to trying to fix or solve, to more tolerating and managing it. And that overall can then decrease our suffering.
So you've just finished watching part 1 of one of our recent educational events. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you'd like to access part 2, then you need to sign up for BJC Connect. It's a free platform where you can access not just the recordings of past events, but also access a whole range of upcoming future events and access our team of facilitators live. All of the details that you need to join BJC Connect are now flashing up on your screen. But otherwise, like our stuff, subscribe if you'd like to see more information from BJC Health. Look forward to seeing you in an event soon.